Hey guys, Pastor P here. Hope you're doing well today on this absolutely gorgeous day. It's hot, but it's good. We've had a great time this week and still here and still enjoying everything that this beautiful place has to offer. We're landing in Luke chapter 14 today. And it's a little tiny little chapter, but it packs a big punch. And there's just a couple of things that that really stand out to me, and I get excited about this particular chapter because it's about the power of wisdom. Okay? When Christ moved and grooved through folks, it wasn't about shaming people. It wasn't about judging. It wasn't about belittling. It wasn't about, ooh, I'll show them. But he used wisdom. He caused people to think on their own. He caused people to really question what they've been doing, because a lot of times our response to things is we've always done it this way and it's worked. Well, has it really worked? And have you always done it that way because you didn't want to think outside the box? You didn't want to upset anyone. You didn't want to upset tradition or anything of that nature. But we land in Luke chapter 14, and it says, one Sabbath, when Jesus went to eat in the house of a prominent Pharisee, he was being carefully watched. And we found throughout these chapters, everybody got their eye on Jesus. And there in front of him was a man suffering from abnormal swelling of his body. And Jesus asked the Pharisees and the experts in the law, and he said, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath or not? And they remained silent. Okay? So taking hold of the man, he healed him and sent him on his way. I love that. Jesus was like, well, I know the right thing to do. Let me just heal this man and send him on his way. And he asked them, he said, if one of you has a child or an ox that falls into a well on the Sabbath day, will you not immediately pull it out? I mean, come on now. Will you take care of your child? Won't you take care of this animal? They had nothing to say. Man, there's a thing about wisdom. Wisdom silences naysayers. Okay? A lot of times we respond to things in defense, or we just want to defend our side, or we want to defend our belief, or we want to, you know. Psh. Wisdom will silence naysayers. They didn't know what to say, because your child falls in a well, my child falls in a well, I'm going after it. I don't care what day it is. I'm going after it. Okay? And it would be so inhumane not to take care of an animal that was hurt or had fallen into a well or something, when you had the ability and the power to rescue it and you didn't. Okay, what kind of religion is that? What kind of belief is that? That you have the possibility to speak life and love and goodness over someone, but you don't, because that's not in your religion. No! Jesus is saying you speak wisdom, because your wisdom will silence naysayers. Okay, not only will it silence naysayers, a lot of times it will offend tradition. We got a lot of traditions, especially in churches. A lot of traditions that we follow, and we do it because we've always done it this way, or even family traditions because we've always done it this way, or I can't possibly live my life and be who God created me to be and do what God's created me to do because no one in my family has ever done this. No one in my family has ever been called to this. No one in my community is called to take a stand for love, or take a stand for peace, or take a stand for justice. And because nobody else has ever done it, a lot of times we don't do it. Okay? Wisdom says do what God has called and purposed you to do, because there's where your reward is. It's not in what people think. It's not in what people say or think that they know better for you. It's about pursuing God's will and purpose for your life. And so as Jesus was continuing to talk to these folks, and not that he was making a joke of them or trying to shame the Pharisees or the teachers of the law, he's just pointing out truth, because wisdom reveals the truth of folk. Okay? He went on to say that when They had nothing to say, and so when he noticed how the guests picked the places of honor at the table, he told them this parable. He says, when someone invites you to a wedding feast, do not take the place of honor, for a person more distinguished than you may have been invited. If so, the host who invited both of you will come and say to you, give this person your seat. Oh my gosh, how humiliating. Then humiliated, you will have to rise up, relinquish that seat. You will have to take the least important place. But when you are invited, take the lowest place, so that when your host comes, your host will say to you, friend, move up to a better place. Get on up here with us. Then you'll be honored in the presence of all the other guests. And it says here, for all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. I love that. That's just using wisdom when you enter into a place, and that's in everything. Humble yourself. Trust God to lift you up. You know, here again, we're talking about their dealings, his dealings with religious folks, with church folks, and my goodness, a lot of church folks, a lot of self-promotion happens in the church setting. And I know this rattles some folks, and traditionally it rattles some folks, but I've been there. I have been there, and I have for, you know, like I shared with you before, decades, pastored churches, and been in different situations, and how folks will assume titles that they have yet to reach. Okay? My encouragement to you, especially to ministers and leaders, let God exalt you. Let God give you a title. If you're doing any of that self-promoting stuff or letting any of your folks do that, it's time to take a close look at that tradition. It's time to take a close look at who's sitting at the table. Is folks trying to lift God up, or are they trying to lift themselves up? So it's just a beautiful, beautiful chapter about the power of humility, and having humility in everything that you do, whether in your job, in community, in church, in whatever it is that you're a part of. Walk in as a humble servant of the Lord, and trust God to raise you up. Trust God to reveal your gifts. Trust God to make a way out of no way. Okay, a lot of times we force ourselves into things. Nah, don't do it anymore. Allow God to make a way. Because you see, we've been talking about for a long minute now, especially as we've gone through this season of Lent, working that work from the inside out. And if on the inside there's pride, it's going to come out. If there's humility and a humble spirit, that's going to come out. And so that humble spirit, it says right there, verse 11, for all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted, will be esteemed by God. And just I encourage you to continue to read the rest of this particular chapter, and because it really does, it's Christ talking to us directly as those who choose to follow after Christ's teachings of love and life, and be that light in your home, in your relationship, in your job, in your school, in your church. Be that light. And Christ is talking about whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. It's about humbling yourself. Hey, this is what I've been purposed to be and to do, and carry that cross. Do it even in those places where folks may not agree, where folks may give you a hard time, where folks may just point to the back of the line and say, hey, boo, you belong back there. Well, you know, we've had situations where God has certainly blessed us in that regard, and one immediately comes to mind when we were on a cruise at one time with a group of folks, and we came in and folks were like, hey, there's the back of the line. We were just walking in and they're like, go back there's the back of the line, and they're all standing in this nice line, and everybody's got on their formal dress because I think it was the captain's dinner, and we were all excited about that, and they were like, yeah, big group, y'all go back there. And so we just took our place. We went to the back of the line, and the most beautiful thing happened. We went to the very back of the line, which there were double doors. There was double doors in the front, and there were double doors behind us. And the double doors behind us opened up, and there was the captain and his entourage welcoming us to the dinner. So it goes to show, those who think folks need to be in the back, those very folks might be the ones who are first welcomed in. So I just put that out there to you. Humble yourself, okay? Humble yourself. I love you. Have a great, great rest of your afternoon. I'll see you again tomorrow. Hope you're having a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye now.